Hello, my name is Neil Evans. I'm a professor of integrative physiology at the University of Glasgow School of Biodiversity, One Health and Veterinary Medicine. And I also work as the Director of Education for the veterinary programs. Another key contact here at the University of Glasgow is Gillian Gillespie. Gillian is our Marketing, Recruitment and Admissions Manager. And what we wanted to do in this presentation is to tell you about what we can offer with regard to a Scottish start for a worldwide career in animal health for you. In particular, we wanted to tell you and speak to you about our FEPAS programs. This is the Facilitated Early Entry Program for Animal Science students. This program has been set up with a number of animal science departments across North America, and it provides you with a number of advantages. It gives you a guaranteed pathway, effectively, to vet school from quite early on in your academic career, because you can apply to FEPAS from as early as your sophomore year, as I'll talk a little bit on the next slide. In doing that, it can also reduce the stress associated with going and applying to veterinary school, including doing lots of additional aspects of your applications, such as the GRE and supplemental essays. And it will save you a significant amount of money when you start thinking about applying through the VMCAS system. There are fees associated with each school application. On the subject of money, another driving factor for the development of FEPAS was to try and save you money, because this program allows you to effectively save 1 year's worth of tuition compared to if you completed your animal science degree and then applied to come to the University of Glasgow to do your veterinary degree. Also, this system will allow you to effectively try out veterinary school and try out living abroad and within Glasgow itself, because you will be doing your final year of your undergraduate degree as a study abroad year. And at the end of that year, there's nothing stopping you, in theory, applying to other veterinary schools through the VMCAS system, or leaving and doing something completely different with your animal science degree. Of course, we hope if you come onto the FEPAS program, then you will carry on our veterinary program. So how does the program work? Well, here we're mapping out the 4 years of your animal science degree: freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior. And we said that if you apply for FEPAS, you can apply as early as your sophomore year, and this will map out this pathway through to veterinary school. If you apply in your sophomore year, that typically occurs in the fall, you could get accepted as early as the winter holidays. And the reason we ask you to think about or apply during your sophomore year is it's important that you work with your local advisors to make sure that you're completing all the things that you need to do for your home institution during your junior year. And by things you need to do, these are things that you need to do at your home institution, because your senior year will be done as a study abroad year, and that will be done at the University of Glasgow, where you'll undertake the first year of our veterinary program, the BVMS program. At the end of that time, we will report back to your home institution. They will allow any remaining credits to be awarded, and that will allow you to be awarded your BSc. You will then automatically transfer through into the remainder of our veterinary program, years 2 till 5. Now, if you haven't thought about it or applied during your sophomore year, again, there's no reason why you can't apply during your junior year. And again, applications would typically be in the fall of your junior year, and again, the decision made by the winter holidays. But the key thing, again, is that you have to make sure you're covering all of those prerequisites you need for your animal science degree during that junior year, so that you can then come to the University of Glasgow for that senior year and pick up those last remaining credits. Now, to get onto the program, we expect our students to have chemistry, including organic chemistry, some biology courses, and either mathematics, physics, statistics, calculus. And you have those typically built into your animal science programs already. We're also looking for you to have a GPA greater than or equal to 3.2. And that just doesn't mean when you apply, maybe in your sophomore year, you have to maintain that during your junior year. Again, we expect people who come onto our program to have some animal-related work experience. Typically, you're going to get some of that as you go through your animal science program, but we're also looking for you, ideally, to have at least 2 weeks experience working or shadowing with a veterinarian, so that you can see what's involved in working in that career. Now, if you come to Glasgow, what you'll find is we have a fantastic campus. We have a dedicated campus for our veterinary school. This is located about 5 miles from the main university. It's located within the city of Glasgow itself, and it's called Glasgow Estate. Now, the estate was an old house which was given to the university many, many years ago, but it's been redeveloped to provide state-of-the-art education facilities, clinical services, and research facilities. But you can see on the images on the right-hand side here that it remains a very pleasant place to be for your veterinary education. But importantly, it's what facilities we have all located on that one site that's important. We have a fantastic small animal hospital. It's a relatively new building and facility, and therefore it has present within it state-of-the-art operating suites and fantastic diagnostic imaging suite. And we're continually looking as to how we can develop what we provide for the animal community and our small animal hospital. And so we run from the hospital a comparative oncology centre, Scotland's first dedicated seizure clinic, the largest neurology clinic in Europe. And over the last year, we've opened a diabetic clinic, and that's really busy because there's now such an increase in the number of obese pets. And associated with that, we have diabetes. So we can treat those animals from the local area in that diabetic clinic. Now, the small animal hospital will see about 16,000 cases every year, which have first of all been seen by a general practitioner. So these are referral cases that are coming into the small animal hospital. But our students, when they graduate, often are thinking about going into first opinion medicine. Therefore, we now also operate and run from the small animal hospital, the pet practice. So our own facilities can provide our students expertise and experience in first opinion medicine and that aspect of referral medicine. To increase the exposure our students get to first opinion medicine, our students, as they go through the programme, will undertake placements at the Scottish Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals and the People's Dispensary for Sick Animals. These are both first opinion practice services located within the city of Glasgow, and they will see over 32,000 cases per year. So the combination of what we have ourselves within the university and our small animal partners gives access for our students to over 48,000 small animal teaching cases. Also located on the Glasgow campus, we have the Wiper Centre for Equine Welfare. This is again a two-component enterprise. We have the Glasgow Equine Hospital. That is going to see our referral cases, and we might have about 900 cases that will come through that route every year. About a third of those are hospitalised. Now, some of those might be coming in with regard to intensive care or surgery, but we also have present within the Equine Hospital, Scotland's first modular equine standing MRI. And in the January of 2025, we'll be installing a CT for horses as well. The other component of the Wiper Centre is the equine practice. This provides first opinion service for local stables and horses. And what you can see in the image down here is one of our clinicians loading up a van to head out to see some horses in their home environment. And each time they go out, they're going to be taking students out with them. In addition to what we can provide with regard to first opinion equine practice, we also work with a number of local private practices, and our students will rotate through those areas. So again, they get great exposure to both first opinion and referral aspects of equine medicine. Also located on the Glasgow campus, we have the Scottish Centre for Production, Animal Health and Food Safety, or what we tend to call it is the large animal unit. And the large animal unit is the base for our production animal medicine. And it's the base for that service because that again is an ambulatory service. And our clinicians may be called out and treat up to maybe 1,600 animals per year of acute cases. Now that might not sound a very large number, but that's because if we're thinking about production animal medicine, a large component of that is going to be preventative medicine. So our clinicians will be working with farmers to develop and run flock and herd health schemes. If we include those in their kind of work profile, then we're talking about our clinicians seeing over 24,000 animals per year. And of course, every time they go out to farms, they will have students out with them. Now, the other important aspect of production animal medicine is economics, and sometimes it's not going to be worthwhile a farmer treating an animal. And in that situation, they can either donate the animal to the university or we can purchase it, and we will bring it back and we'll maintain it within the large animal unit. So these become important teaching cases for our students. And we can maintain these animals within the unit for as long as their welfare allows that. Because of biosecurity, unfortunately, these animals will not be able to go back to their home environment, and they will leave through a door towards the back of the building, which you can see here. Because also located on campus, we have our own post-mortem facility. For students, this is great because it means that not only will they have been looking after the animals within the large animal unit and looking at the disease themselves, they can then follow that up by looking at any pathological changes in tissue samples collected from those animals. Now, in addition to those clinical facilities, on the Glasgow campus, we also have really nice student facilities. The Mary Stuart building was built on the space where our small animal hospital used to be. And you can see from the images along the top here, it gives us this very open, flexible space that our students can use for all sorts of events or just hanging out between different teaching events. Also located within the Mary Stuart building, we have catering facilities, we have small group study spaces, we have seminar room, we have tutorial rooms, and there's also a student shop. So it meets many of the students' needs whilst they're on the campus. Now, in addition to the Glasgow campus, Glasgow University also owns and runs Cochno Farm and Research Centre. Cochno Farm is an 850-acre working commercial farm. Again, it was an old estate. You can see the estate house is still standing in this case, and some of the teaching occurs in the basement of the big house. The buildings here make up the commercial farm, and the buildings here make up a large animal research unit. Now, coming through your programs where you've got an animal science department, you had access to work with production animals, but that isn't the case for all students who come onto our program. And at Cochno, we run a dairy unit, a beef suckler unit, and about 550 head of breeding ewes. So this gives our students great opportunities to work with production animals. And all the way through the program, you'll be interacting with Cochno Farm. In the early parts of the program, those interactions are mainly looking at husbandry and animal handling. But in the latter parts of the program, our students are working with our clinicians to look after the health of our animals on the farm. So why would you want to come to the University of Glasgow as opposed to maybe going to one of the North American veterinary schools? Well, all of the UK veterinary schools are accredited by the Royal College of Veterinary Surgeons. And that Royal College of Veterinary Surgeons accreditation allows you to work as a veterinarian in the UK, but also in Europe, in Africa, in Asia, in Australia, in New Zealand. So quite a large component of the globe. But Glasgow is also accredited by the American Veterinary Medical Association. Only half of the UK schools have that accreditation by the AVMA, and therefore, if you graduate from Glasgow, you will have a dual accredited degree. And that dual accredited degree will basically mean you can work anywhere in the world. And that's without taking any extra exams, which you would have to do if you went through the North American system. How do we teach veterinary medicine at Glasgow? Well, we use what we refer to as a spiral integrated curriculum. So by a spiral curriculum, what we mean is we're going to introduce you to quite a wide range of different aspects of veterinary medicine quite early on within the program itself. And we're going to teach you around clinical cases. So therefore, we're going to teach you about the healthy and the unhealthy from the very beginning of the program. And it's a spiral curriculum because you will revisit different aspects, on average about 3 times as you go through the program, each time building your knowledge around that area, as well as the clinical information that's relevant for that area. And it's an integrated learning experience because, as I said, you're learning around clinical cases. So rather than breaking the material up into an anatomy course and a cardiology course and a pharmacology course, for instance, all of those aspects are taught around the clinical cases because that's how you'll work when you are a veterinarian. Now we break our curriculum up into 3 phases. The foundation phase runs across years 1 and 2, and that's further subdivided into 12 body system blocks. And this slide illustrates those 12 blocks which make up the foundation phase. So you go across the foundation phase, you'll see you're covering all of those major body systems. And a little hint is provided by the pictures that you'll also have a focus on species of veterinary interest as you go through these different modules. Foundation phase is followed by clinical phase. This runs in years 3 and 4. It uses the same teaching model, all of the teaching being built around clinical cases that you're often going to see when you're in practice. But now these cases can be much more complicated. They may be involving disease processes which affect multiple different body systems. And you'll see it's also looking at veterinary medicine in the wider context. We have a global veterinary medicine module here. We have a module here about food hygiene and safety. We also have one with regard to professional and clinical experience. Now, as I said, all the way through the foundation and the clinical phase, we're building up your clinical knowledge and your clinical skills and your clinical thinking. And that's really important because the final year of the program is lecture free. So during the final year of the program, you're going to be working in the small animal hospital, the equine hospital, and the large animal unit. You'll be treating patients, you'll be working with clients, and that makes up what we refer to as our 6 core skills rotations. Now, all of those are going to occur at Glasgow or in those partner institutions. Now, during final year, we'll also give you the opportunity to choose a selective rotation, and the selective rotation is an opportunity for you to pick an aspect of veterinary medicine that you're interested in or that you want to take further. And those selectives can be done at the University of Glasgow, but we also offer selectives with our partners around the world. So, for instance, you could do an aquaculture selective at the University of Stirling in Scotland, but you could also do an international wildlife selective in Namibia, an equine selective in Morocco, and we have a variety of selectives which we run in North America. So if you're looking to make the transition back to North America after you've graduated, then maybe having one of those North American selectives on your resume will help you. During final year, we'll also help and prepare our students for sitting the North American Veterinary Licensing Examination, or the NAVLE examination. This is exactly the same examination you would sit if you went to one of the North American schools. So again, you're not disadvantaged by coming through the UK system if you want to return to North America. Now, also located on our campus, we have very good research facilities. You can see on the right-hand side here some of the buildings. We have located on campus the UK Centre for Virus Research and the Henry Wellcome Centre for Comparative Medicine. And this is important because research underpins our teaching, and many of our teaching staff are active in research, covering all sorts of different aspects from parasitology, evolutionary ecology, virology, animal welfare, animal movement, vector-borne diseases. But we also have staff which we involve in delivering the program, which come from other schools within our college, and therefore they will provide opportunities in other research areas. So from cancer sciences, cardiovascular and medical sciences, infection, immunity and inflammation, and molecular biosciences. And if you want a metric of the quality of the research at Glasgow, if you look at our research income from the research councils, which are equivalent to the USDA and the NIH, then what you'll see is we rank very highly within the UK. We're also ranked highly with regard to research quality across all of the UK veterinary schools. Now, if you're interested in becoming involved in research, there are a number of different ways which you can do that as you go through the program itself. But you can also take the option of intercalating a degree. We have students who have undertaken a master's by research. So this is where they will step out of the veterinary program for a year and undertake a year's worth of research, writing up a project, and then at the end of their program, they will graduate with both a Master of Research and their DVM. Alternatively, they can undertake a taught master's, so that's the Master's in Science. And you can see from the titles here, these are all very relevant with regard to veterinary medicine. Now, if you were to want to go down this route, there are some scholarship opportunities available to help you undertake that intercalated research degree. Now, another thing which we think you should be aware of if you're considering coming onto our program is how we do assessment, because it's slightly different to what you might be used to at the moment. When you come onto a professional program, we think assessment shouldn't be what drives you to learn. You should want to have the information, and we've identified the information which you need to have to make you a competent veterinarian. As such, what you will see is that most of our assessment occurs towards the end of each year of the program, because each year of the program effectively makes up one course. So therefore, you have one integrated assessment at the end of each year. Now, whilst the exam result is going to come out towards the end of the year, about 40% of the mark for that is going to come from continued assessment. You'll undertake 2 multiple choice papers, one at the end of each semester, and they will contribute a total of 30% to the end of year mark. And you'll undertake a continual assessment task, and that will make up a further 10%. But 60% does come at the end of the year, and that comes from sitting a number of examination papers, which are made up of a variety of different question types, from short answer questions, practical spot questions, data interpretation questions. And all of these are typically going to be based around clinical cases, because that's how we've taught you. Now, in some years in the course, we will also give you OSCEs. So these are objective, structured clinical exams. And these are a way which we can test your practical skills, because a very important part of our program is developing those practical skills from day one. Now, you might be a bit worried about having so much assessment riding at the end of the year, but we give you lots of formative training with those assessment methods. We have end of week quizzes, end of module quizzes, where you'll be able to try out some of these testing modalities. But some of those are put onto our virtual learning environment as resources for you to use, and there's a level of responsibility for you to monitor how you're getting on as you go through the course, because not all of those are going to be policed by us. Another thing which you need to be aware of with regard to coming to the UK for your veterinary education is that the Royal College of Veterinary Surgeons requires our students to undertake extramural studies. So this is work experience which you do during your vacation time. Alongside foundation phase, you need to do 10 weeks of EMS, and that's mostly animal husbandry related. And because you're coming from an animal science program, if you come through FEPAS and you document your experience and you bring that along, then you can get an exemption against some of that preclinical extramural studies. Alongside the clinical and professional phases, you have to do a further 20 weeks of extramural studies. And this is when you're going to be working with a veterinarian, putting into practice what you have learned. Now, your EMS can be done in the UK, but it can also be done in North America. And in fact, it can be done anywhere in the world. So our students will use this as an opportunity to travel. And as long as it's animal or veterinary related, then it will count towards your extramural studies. If you completed your EMS requirements and you completed the academic components of the course, then you'll graduate as a Doctor of Veterinary Medicine. And if we take you onto the program, we fully expect you to be a DVM at the end of the program, and graduation occurs in this very Hogwarts-like hall down at the main university. If we look at where our graduates have gone after they've graduated, what you will see is that if they're going into the internship matching program, we have 100% success in our students matching. So again, showing that our students are highly competitive. We have students, or graduates, I should say, working in all aspects of veterinary practice. But some people decide that maybe front-facing clinical roles are not for them. And therefore, we've got graduates who've gone on to have teaching careers or to work for the government in food safety or extension services, working in public health. And we've also had a number of graduates who've gone on to have very successful research careers. Now, if you're thinking about going overseas, you might think that's a big step to do. Well, we are very proud that we can provide great support for our students. We think we can provide you a home from home on the Glasgow campus. We have put a lot of investment as a university into supporting our students. Located on campus, we have a student experience unit. And we also allocate an academic member of staff as a mentor or an advisor of studies to all of our students. And that mentor can stay with that person all the way through the program and advise them about their EMS, about their career choices, or provide pastoral support. But in addition to what the university provides, what we see is because we are on that dedicated campus, we only teach 2 programs on the campus, we only have about 750 students on the campus itself. We take about 135 students per year onto our veterinary program and about 25 students per year onto a non-clinical veterinary biosciences program. And because we've got such a small group of students, they're a very close-knit community. There's great camaraderie amongst the students, and they want to help and support everyone as they go through. They've set up things like a Big Vet, Wee Vet buddy system, whereby you'll be matched with one of our existing students before you arrive, them being the Big Vet and you being the Wee Vet. And this combination of what we can provide, but also I think largely because of this camaraderie we have amongst our student body, we do really well with regard to student satisfaction. Now, that close-knit community of students, they work hard, but it's also important that you have a good work-life balance. And the students organise a whole series of different events for the Glasgow community, from things such as the Vet Ball, which is quite a formal affair, to a rodeo, not a North American rodeo, but an event to raise money for local animal charities, which is what you can see occurring in the top image up here. And these are events are for all of the students, but also the staff, and there's a great feeling of a family atmosphere amongst the people on the Glasgow campus. There are all sorts of clubs and societies which our students run on Glasgow, but you can also join any of the university's clubs and societies. And if you're interested in organised sport, such as soccer or rugby or hockey, then actually the university sports pitches are located out at the Glasgow campus. If you come to the University of Glasgow School of Biodiversity, One Health and Veterinary Medicine, you'll also get opportunities to meet people from the other veterinary schools in the UK. AVS weekend is the Association of Veterinary Students weekend. It's held in rotation across the different schools, and the students will get together from the different schools to play sport against each other and to socialize. And very importantly is the last event on the list here, which is Dick Day. And this is because there is another veterinary school not that very far away from here, and we have to keep them in their place every year by our students beating them at lots of different sporting events on Dick Day. Now, as I mentioned, if you come to the veterinary school at Glasgow, you're actually joining the University of Glasgow, and that's an ancient university. It was founded in 1451, but it's ranked within the top 100 universities within the world. And we're running with about 36,000 students in total, and about 20% of the overall student population are international students. If you look at the veterinary program, what you will see is that proportion rises to about 50%. A large proportion of those are coming from North America because of the AVMA accreditation, but we also have students from Hong Kong, Singapore, Malaysia, the Middle East, from South Africa, from Europe. So when you graduate, your peers will be a network, an international network, and it will give you great opportunities if you do want to travel to go around the world, meeting some of your friends, some of your peers, and working for a while in their practices before moving on to your next stop. Now, I mentioned at the beginning that we are aware that it's an expensive undertaking to go to veterinary school, and we're trying to help you with that. So, as I said, the FeePass program, part of the rationale for that was to help save 1 year's worth of tuition and to save the fees associated with applying through VMCAS. But at the University of Glasgow, we will also fix your fees at the point of entry. So what you pay in year one will be what you pay in each of the subsequent years that you're on the program. Now that fee is fixed in £, and as of the 15th of October, if you're going to be coming in for a 2025 entry, that is at £36,230, which is $47,364. Now the cost of living at Glasgow is cheaper than it is in some of the other capital cities in the UK, Edinburgh being the capital of Scotland and London being the capital of England. Now for that study abroad year, you have to remember that you are still a student from your home institution, so you need to work with your local advisors with regard to fees and funding. And typically, because you are still a member of your home institution, if you're carrying any scholarships, you would be able to bring those with you as well. At the end of that first year, when you transfer to be a University of Glasgow student, then University of Glasgow would take on running your federal and Stafford loans and your financial aid. The climate in Glasgow is deemed as moderate, maximum maybe of 75 in summer, and on average 41 degrees in winter. It's very changeable weather in Glasgow. They say if you don't like it, wait 5 minutes, you'll have something completely different. We don't tend to have much snow within the city of Glasgow, but if we do, it causes complete chaos because we're just not set up to have snow. Now, as an international student, if you come to Glasgow, you are guaranteed university accommodation for the first year if you wish to take that. Some people will also stay longer than that, but at least in the first year, it is a guaranteed option for you. Located on the Glasgow campus, we have Wolfson Hall. Wolfson Hall provides single occupancy ensuite catered rooms. It's the university's only catered dorm, so it's not just veterinary students who are located there, it's any student from the university who wish that catered facility. However, if you've done the catered dorms and you want a little bit more independence, there's options such as Queen Margaret, which is located between Glasgow and the main campus, and that's where you'll get your own shared bedroom within a shared apartment with 5 or 6 other students, where you'd have a communal kitchen and living room. If you come into university accommodation, you would not be able to bring any pets with you. So some people will decide to go straight into private accommodation. A lot of people will go into university accommodation for the first year whilst they're finding their feet, finding who they want to share with, and then might go into private accommodation after that. There's a large amount of private accommodation surrounding the Glasgow campus, so it's relatively easy to get that, and we'll help you with that. Now, if you come onto the FeePass program, even though you might be applying in your sophomore year, a lot of the actual activity from Glasgow will only kick into place during your junior year. So what I've given you on this slide is an idea of when things start to happen. And you'll see that in the February of your junior year, we will be looking to have a transcript or GPA check to make sure you're still on track. You would also then get the opportunity to start to select your housing if you wanted to go into University of Housing. And the next event which would take place is one of those key events, because in May we would issue you a letter of conditional acceptance of study. And that CAS letter is important because you need your CAS letter to undertake your visa application, which you could also start at that time. In June, that's when a lot of the private housing starts to become available. So we would encourage students to start looking at that if they wanted to go down that route. And then in July, we would send you out the induction material for the September start. In mid-August, course registration occurs. And in August is when you can typically enter the UK on your visa, because you can normally enter 1 month before the start of your academic program. And then in mid-September, you'd typically be starting your study abroad year, or that BVMS 1 year. So even if you're accepted onto the program in your sophomore year, a lot of these activities can only take place in that second half or second semester of your junior year. Now, if you're going to go overseas for your veterinary education, we can guarantee you'll have a good veterinary education, but you should also be looking to have a cultural experience. Glasgow is a great place to do that from. It's a very safe and exciting city. It's the largest city in Scotland and the 6th largest in the UK. And Glasgow is built along the River Clyde, which is what you can see in the image here, because in the past it used to have a huge amount of shipbuilding occurring in Glasgow, and also international trade which went by sea. But those are very much fallen by the wayside now, because most freight goes by air, and Glasgow has reinvented itself as a financial capital. There's lots and lots of things going on within the city of Glasgow. It's a very culturally diverse city. It's been a UNESCO city of music. And for a number of years, it's been voted the world's friendliest city. And that's a great accolade to have if you're thinking about going somewhere for those 5 years of your veterinary education. There are many, many things to do within the city. We have the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland present within Glasgow. We have multiple theatres, museums, and art galleries. We have fantastic architectural history and a very, very vibrant music scene. And Glasgow is also the home of Scottish soccer. So there's many things to do in the city which you could take part in during your downtime. And you will have time to do that as you go through the programme. And it is advised so that you can have that balance between work and life. However, some people don't want to be in the city. They want to escape out of the city. And that's really easy from Glasgow because, as I said, it's built along the River Clyde. So it tends to be quite a long, thin city. So actually, it's very easy to go. If you go north, within 15 minutes, you're into the Highlands. If you go south, you're into the lowlands of Scotland. So you might be hill walking, mountaineering, fishing, doing water sports, playing golf. All of these things are very easy for you to do. It's also very easy to explore the rest of Scotland or even the rest of the UK. And actually, because the UK is a very small island off the coast of Europe, effectively, it's easy to explore Europe. Within an hour of Glasgow, there are 3 international airports, and maybe for about $50, you can get a flight which will take you to Paris or Barcelona or Oslo. And we'll see our students disappearing on a Friday and then rolling back in on a Monday morning, still wearing the same clothes, still carrying the same rucksack, because they've been all sorts of interesting places for a weekend away. So thank you very much for your attention. Hopefully that's given you some information about the programme which we have to offer here at the University of Glasgow and how the FEPAS programme works. If you do have any additional questions, please get in touch with myself or Gillian, or you could use the admissions email, which you can see on the screen. But I will also encourage you to work with your local advisors, because your local advisors can help you plan out your study with regard to making sure everything's lined up in the appropriate place. And they will also potentially be able to help you and guide you with regard to the application process itself. And so they are a great resource for you. Also, as I said, work with your local finance team to make sure that all things are sorted with regard to your fees and scholarships, and that will make your life very easy with regard to the transition at the University of Glasgow. So thank you very much for your attention, and as I said, we look forward to either meeting you in person or meeting you here at the University of Glasgow. Thank you.